Hey guys, it's Kay from KS Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/We Won't Call You. If a candidate blanks out on a question during an interview, what general impression does that leave? I was doing pretty well during an interview yesterday. After about 40 minutes in, I was asked a question and my mind just blanked. My anxiety spiked and I stumbled through it. Not even sure I really answered their question in the end. Afterwards, I really felt like a shell of my former confident self. I don't think all of that was apparent to them across the table, though. I was wondering if someone here has given an interview and saw someone just really drop the ball suddenly, and what impression that left on them. Anyone experienced at interviews should understand the pressure and anxiety that comes with the process. In the future, if it happens, I find it helps to just admit what is going on. It humanizes you and lets you take control of things again. It also makes it clear you aren't BSing. Yes, I have definitely started rambling before in an interview and had to straight up be like, what was the original question? They usually laugh with you and it lightens the awkward moment. I'm super ADHD and can't take medication anymore, medical reasons, so I take a notepad with me and write down the questions and the answers. That's a wonderful solution, thank you. One trick I learned that helps is asking the interviewer to rephrase the question. This does two things. One, it gives the interviewee time to recompose their thoughts. Two, it gives the interviewer an opportunity to better clarify their original question. That's awesome. I get nervous asking that because I don't want to seem ditzy, but I guess if I forget my answer halfway through, that was out the door anyway. Oh, I have a funny story about this. I used to manage a rental car company. I was interviewing someone for a front desk sales position, and my company had some ridiculously specific processes they wanted sales to follow in order to maximize upsells. As a result, the people I hired needed to be very receptive to training in order to at least say they were following the process if their numbers were down. So one question I would always ask in interviews is, tell me about a time you received constructive criticism and how you handled it. So I asked this young lady the question and she completely blanks. Oh man, let me think. I don't know. This goes on for longer than either of us is comfortable with, lol. I'm a human. If you ask me my favorite song, I immediately forget all music I've ever heard in my life. This candidate's blank was not a negative or a positive in my book. It's just a question she wasn't prepared for, and I appreciated she wasn't going to just make crap up to answer the question. So I give her an out. Sounds like your managers have been pretty impressed with your performance then? I say in order to move on. Oh no, I wouldn't say that. Okay, there's my answer. Oh my god. Oh no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say they were impressed or anything. That's terrible. Oh, I can definitely feel for the interviewee in that secondary story there. Just because I know I blank out a lot of times when it's like the worst time possible to do so. And like, I hate long interviews. Long interviews are the worst. Like, why? Why would you make someone go through that level of anxiety for like an hour? That's intense, okay? But yeah, no, I wouldn't say that. That's sad. But I do like that they were able to kind of use this thread for more maybe constructive feedback or information on how maybe interviewers feel about this type of stuff, because I do feel like I have to be perfect in an interview or I pretty much completely fail, which I feel like usually ends up happening anyway. I'm not a good interviewer. Are you guys good interviewers? Because it's really not my thing. I feel like I learn a lot from this subreddit. Send Mama Karen to negotiate. I work for a major railroad in the northeastern US, and we were hiring a pile of new helpers back in 2013. Now, railroads pay pretty well, so when we advertise jobs, people generally come running. Unfortunately, that also includes the nut jobs. Our brilliantly useless HR department had scheduled interviews nonstop every 30 minutes from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesday through Friday. No bathroom breaks, no lunch breaks, nothing. We called HR back, told them to find some time, and they were able to reschedule one interview in the middle of the day for every day but Thursday. The next morning, and I have no idea how this woman got my cell number, I get a phone call from the mother of one of the candidates. What follows is as good as I can remember it. Good morning, Railroad.
This is Mrs. Candidate. Why did you guys try to reschedule my son's interview?
Because there was a conflict in the schedule.
Well, they wanted to move his interview to 4, and I can't make that.
You can't make it?
Well, I'm his ride. And while we're on that subject, the dumb beep on the phone said that you guys start at 6 a.m. My son can't get there that early.
Well, that's something he'll have to work on if he's selected. That's when we start.
That doesn't work for me. Everyone else can start whenever they want. My son can't get there until 9.
I cannot explain why I continued to entertain this conversation, but I did. Ma'am, this is a union position. The starting and ending hours are negotiated. I do not have the ability to give one employee a separate work schedule.
Well, you're going to have to figure that out, aren't you?
Frankly, no. Your son will have to figure it out if he wants the job. I can tell you that there is a bus stop around 100 yards from the building he'll be reporting to, but it would be advisable for him to procure reliable transportation.
A bus? You expect my son to ride a bus?
I expect him to be at work on time. How he gets here is not my concern.
Well, what will you do if he's late?
We have an attendance policy, and any tardiness or absence will be dealt with in accordance with that policy.
That's completely unreasonable. What if there's a valid reason?
I do not have control over the railroad's attendance policy. Generally, if someone has something that's going on to prevent them from coming to work, it's not going to be a problem as long as they are getting to work on time the rest of the time.
Well, if you expect my son to ride a bus to work, I need to know he's not going to get fired if there's a problem.
Again, I don't care how he gets to work, but he needs to be there on time.
Even if it's snowing?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, what if my son goes to get on the bus?
This time she managed to drip scorn at the word bus.
And there's a
slur for African Americans.
Or a
slur for Latinos.
On it. He'll have to wait for the next one. You don't expect my son to ride on a bus with those people, do you?
For some reason, I've only just remembered that I'm the one with the power in this discussion. Ma'am, please inform your son he no longer has an interview on Thursday.
What? You can't do that. This is discrimination. I want your name and employee number.
I don't know what the rest of the sentence was. I hung up, blocked her, notified HR of the conversation, and had them cancel the interview.
Might I humbly suggest that I'll call your manager or speak with the manager of some kind was coming next in that line of words, perhaps?
Wow. That's horrendous. I feel terrible for the son. I imagine, because a lot of the times the child doesn't know or really, really, really doesn't want their parent to interfere with this kind of thing. Hopefully that is his case, and he has no idea that his mom is, well, insane and awful. And he probably just doesn't know why he does not have the interview. Unless if he has become like her, and then, well, you know. Anyway, that was extremely unpleasant. The very serious glaring issue there aside, because I don't even want to get into what awful things this lady said. Yes, your son will be expected to work on time, and he will be expected to go to work even if it's snowing. Okay, well, you know, that's probably not the job for him then. Especially if you come with him as like a package deal. So, I feel like there's not much we can do about it.
You and your mother were unsuccessful. Sorry. A few years ago, I worked as a sales manager for 3 stores. I had approximately 50 sales team members over the 3 stores, and I did everything from interviewing, hiring, inducting, training, rostering, etc. One time we were hiring juniors for after-school shifts. The franchise arranged some interviews that he had arranged online, and I scheduled those that were walk-ins. Interviews were scheduled at 15-minute intervals, but we had both scheduled a 4 p.m. interview. No biggie. At some point between 3:55 p.m. and 4 p.m., the supervisor interrupts me just before an interview ended. She's got this weird look on her face. There's a lady here. She wants to talk to you now because her daughter has an interview at 4. I finish the interview and go out the front to find Mumzilla, one hand on her hip and the other holding her phone adjacent to her ear, glaring at me. Hi, how can I help you? I ask kind of curiously. Hi, my daughter has an interview at 4 p.m., which was still a few minutes away. Scheduled by the franchisee. We've been here since 3:30. Now we find out there's another girl here. What is going on? I explained that yes, the boss and I had overlapped at 4 p.m. I was aware, and that it wasn't a big deal. Her tone changed immediately. Oh, okay, well, I should send my daughter over? Whoever was here first. Well, we've been here since 3:30. She snaps. Well then, send her in. When she came for the interview, I made sure I circled her name. Everyone else who attended got a tick, those who didn't show got an X. This girl had her name circled, so I would not forget. She interviewed really well, but truth be told, she'd already failed. I couldn't risk having her mother hovering throughout her employment. At the end, I said, if you're a successful applicant, I will contact you Monday evening. I won't be contacting unsuccessful applicants because there's too many candidates. I told my franchisee about the situation. About 9:15 p.m. Monday, the franchisee forwards me an email stating simply, "Is this the girl with the mom?" The original email is from the girl's account. Dear Mr. Blank, due to management error, I was not on the list of interviews. I did eventually receive an interview and I was assured I would be informed this afternoon whether I had the position or not. It is now 7:58 p.m. and I have not heard from your company. Is this because I did not get the job or because once again I have been neglected? I told the franchisee that they weren't forgotten or neglected, so we drafted a reply on his behalf. Dear Blank, I can assure you that you were on the list of interviewees as I finalized the list. The manager informed you she would be contacting successful candidates only. Unfortunately, you and your mother were unsuccessful during this recruitment process. Best wishes for future endeavors. The boss and I agreed that it sounded like the mom wrote the email and that I had dodged a bullet. Edited, this was a highly affluent suburb, full of entitlement. Ooh, could you imagine having to deal with a Karen mother through the entirety of someone's employment? Ugh, that would be terrible. I would not deal with that. I would not be okay with that. And this is now the second one we have. I feel like it's a disturbingly common thing now where these mothers tend to try to come in and do their thing, thinking that it's going to somehow help. And it doesn't. This is not how we honestly get ahead in life. Oh God. But I feel bad for the employees in that franchise location anyway, though, because if it is an affluent suburb full of entitlement, that probably means they get more than the average amount of Karens visiting their place and they have to deal with them, and that really sucks. That's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Really quickly, I'd like to thank my patrons. Up on the screen, you should see my face palmers and my crazy case. Thank you all so much for supporting me in that way. If you're interested in becoming a patron, checking out the original post from today's video, or sending me an email for possible inclusion in a future video, all of that information is in the description box, so be sure to check that out. And I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!